What's up, everybody? Welcome back to My Twisted Life and TV on Poetry. You are here for a recap and possibly a review, a review and possibly a recap of the movie Passing. This is the membership movie choice. If you want to choose what movies or TV shows that I watch on this channel outside of the regular lineup, make sure you join. And when I put up a poll, you can vote too. Now, out of all the movies I had selected and TV shows I selected, Passing was the one I did not want to watch the most. And this is the one that got selected. Actually, there was a tie at the end, but Passing was winning all week. So I broke the tie and chose Passing in the end. And child, I never wanted to watch this. I never gave a dang on about anybody from back in the day that used to pass their reasons why. I didn't care. There was not a point in history that I was interested in. There was not a point in history that I thought advanced us as a people. It was a part of history that we assimilated for a lot of different reasons. One, I thought that the people who passed did so to reap the benefits of white privilege, that whatever thought that white privilege gave them, they wanted to do that. Two, they passed just for basic survival. You know, back in that day, being black was a death threat. It was a death sentence. You know, not death threat, but it was a death sentence just being black. So, you know, if you could pass for white, you may survive. Third, just self-hate. You want to disassociate yourself from being black. This movie to me had nothing to do in its overall storyline about passing. True, there was two women in this movie that was passing and not in the same fashion, but to me this movie had to do with insecurities about sex and sexuality. The two main characters were Irene and Claire. Claire was a woman who had been passing as a white woman for over 12 years. She walked around freely, never covered up. She just, I'm white, y'all. I'm white, okay? Irene was one who stepped out the house passing as a white woman, afraid that she was going to get found out every time she did it. She acted like she was kind of brand new to it. But when she got done, she went back home to her black husband, her black kids, in her black neighborhood. Not Claire. Claire ended up living with her aunts. I think she said after her parents passed away, something happened with her parents. She ended up living with her aunts later on in life. The aunts were clearly white. I don't know if she meant that they was light skinned or they were actually white, because she is a biracial person. But as soon as she turned 18, she found John, fell in love, and they got married, which was kind of odd to me. She said they fell in love and got married at the age of 18, but all through this movie she wanted to kill him. She didn't like him no more. She hated him. She despised him. Was it because of Irene that now all of a sudden he's despicable to her? She was living a good life. She was happy. Free. Free, free. Set them free. Set them. That's how she was feeling. She was free. So, this movie is based on a book by the same title. The book was written in 1929 by author Nella Larson is the name of the author. It's set in the 1920s. Back when the time when a lot of black people were passing as white. I mean, a lot of black people were descendants of black enslaved people who had been raped by their masters, and boom, out comes a baby. So yeah, they were passing off as white people to, like I say, for one of those three reasons. It may have been more, but those are the three main ones that I thought of. The person who decided to adapt this book into film is named Rebecca Hall. She is an actress. This is her very first film debut. She said she read this book back in the 20s, okay? And something about it, she just saw it playing in her head in black and white. So she wanted to put it to film. And that's why she set it in black and white. I hate black and white films. Three Stooges, Honeymooners, or a few of the black and whites that I like. I don't like too many things in black and white, for real. Not really movies at all in black and white. But okay, that's what she decided to do. She felt, the author of the book felt that this was her way of explaining the color lines back in the 1920s. I didn't get that from this book or from this movie. Even though they say the movie is damn near just like the book. Not exactly, but damn near. Rebecca Hall, the one who turned it into a film adaptation, basically just wanted to be shown as a learning experience. I think she found out that her father had been passing this whole time. Rebecca Hall's mother is a white woman from Detroit. She was an opera singer, so she traveled a lot. Her father was, what was he? Black and white as well, right? But he did not want to associate with being black. He had that negative stigmatism mentality. He had that self-hate about being black. So he didn't want to accept that he was black. He did not adhere to the 1 drop rule. If you don't know what that is, that's when you have 1 drop of blood in you, they consider you to be black. 1/10 of black blood in you, they consider you to be black. And a lot of people today, you know, they don't accept that idea or that theory anymore. But I think a lot of people have taken out the reason why, or one of the reasons why that rule applied. And that's because the black gene, the DNA, is the most dominant trait. So when you mix a black person with another race of persons or people, whether they be white, Asian, Mexican, whatever, the black gene dominates the other genes. You know? So that's why a lot of biracial people, not all, but a lot of them, have features that are more closely related in characteristics, facial features and characteristics that are more mostly related to their black side or their African side, you know, than the white side. Like, my ancestry DNA, I told y'all that I supposedly have 8% non-black. I'm 96% African. Is that what it was? Was I 96%? Yeah, because Kenya was 94. I'm 96% African. 4% of me was other race. They say 2% of me is native, indigenous to North America. From Canada down to Central America, I think it was. Is where my ancestry. The rest of that other 2% is European, and then my European breaks down to Irish. What else was it? I think I had maybe like a 1 of I had some Irish, I had a little bit of British, and then I had like Iran, Afghanistan, Buddhist, all the stands and stuff. And that 4%, that difference. Okay. Kena was 94%. My mother was like 87%. I still say that of my European side, of my Irish and my British side, that they were black people. You know, black people migrated to different places of the world. Black people were taken all over the world. They weren't just taken to the Americas. You know, so I still say, even though it is coming from that area, they were black. Because, I mean, I have traced my ancestry back almost 300 years now. So far, it's black. Black on black on black on black. And the black gene is the dominant one. So where... It doesn't say that I'm Caucasian. It just says that I have ancestry from those regions. That's all it says. Okay, anywho. So, I forgot what the hell I was talking about. The 2 actors, Tessa Thompson and Ruth Vega, both of them are biracial women. And when I first saw them in the trailer, I was like, these women can't be passed from black. They can't pass. They cannot pass at all. You can't. There's nothing about these 2 women that make me think they're white. At all. At all. Not Tessa, not Ruth. Tessa, her father is a black Panamanian. Her mother is white and Mexican. That's what her mother is. Ruth Vega, her father is a black Ethiopian. Her mother is a white Irish woman. But they have such strong features. Their African features show through more greatly than anything to me other than having the finely textured hair, which most Ethiopians that I know, they all have hair like that. I was like, they can't pass for shit. But in this movie, the main thing is that the character that Tessa Thompson played, which was Irene, she didn't pass all the time. She only passed for a white person when needed. I didn't get at all when was it needed. She was living in a very affluent black lifestyle. I will say a bougie black. They had a nice brownstone. Her husband was a doctor. Her kids went to private schools. They owned a car, which was very rare in 1920s. She even drove, which was very rare for women to be driving in the 1920s. She did charity events. She hung out with well-known white authors. You know what I'm saying? She held big functions. You know, she was a philanthropist, so to speak, because she didn't have a job other than raising the kids, which she didn't do because she had a black maid doing that. Okay, so I didn't understand why Irene felt the need to pass, because I didn't understand what benefit that she was getting out of it. When I look at the three things, you know, she's trying to afford herself some white privilege, she is trying to make sure she lives and survives, or she hates herself as a black person. I think she struggled with that third one. She didn't want to talk about race in her household. You know, she didn't really want to talk negative too much about white people unless it was to Claire. And that's because Claire was living the full white lifestyle. She's married to a white man, had been married to a white man since she was 18 years old. Now, he didn't know that he was married to a Negro, but he called her one. Her nickname was Nig, because he said when he met her, she was lily white. Okay, she was lily white. And over the years, she has gotten darker and darker. And he feared that when she wake up in the morning one day, she going to be a full-blown nigger. So that's how she got the nickname Nig. And she laughs it off, and he laughs it off, and he. Okay? Irene is appalled that Claire will allow this man to degrade them in such a fashion. You trying to beat him. I couldn't have been Irene. In that particular time in life, there's no way that I could lay down and open my legs up and willingly fuck the white man. Could not. At all. Even though I know that there's some good ones out there. There was probably some good ones out there back then. But no, my pain would have came through me so tough. The way that they treat us as a people would have came through me so tough that I couldn't do it. I couldn't entertain it at all. You couldn't make me. My conscience would have said, no, girl, no. I don't care how cute you think he is. No, girl, no, he not for you. But she said she was raised with her aunts who were very white. I don't know if she meant just in skin tone or if they were actually white, because maybe she's a biracial character in this story as well. We really didn't get that full understanding. They skipped a lot. And they wanted us to fill in the blanks a lot. Every time the clock chimed in this movie, I don't know if y'all realize that, the seasons changed. The time period went on further and further and further. It started off in the middle of winter. It's hot as hell. It's so hot, men on the street passing out. And she walking through town in white establishments trying to not be seen. And she runs into Irene in a white establishment hotel who walking around free like, hey girl, hey. And Irene notices her. Okay, if Irene can notice her, they ain't seen each other in 12 years. They was childhood friends. They grew up in Harlem together. Irene don't even live in New York at this particular time. She live in Chicago. They just traveling back and forth. But she notices her right off the top. Rennie. They were lovers. That's the one thing I picked up from this show. Because I didn't pick up the passing aspect. I knew that these two women that was passing. They passed in two different ways. But the main focus on this show was about the sexual attraction that was shown to Claire. Was it shown to Claire because everybody thought she was white? I mean, even Irene thought she was exquisitely beautiful. I mean, she get around Irene and then she started licking her lips. Swallowing hard. She had a little Ella Cool J on. Swallowing hard. Looking her up and down. Irene was shook with Claire. She wanted that woman. And that was one thing that bothered me about this movie, that I thought that they were weaving in the storyline some kind of way that homosexuality and being black was the same thing. You know, it was clear that, you know, Claire was passing for black. For white. Irene passed for white when she wanted to. But the main thing that Irene was passing for was a straight woman. And they made so many references to it throughout this whole show. They made so many references to it. Her husband said that she was trying to make the son soft, trying to make him gay. They made sure that when they had the little party and function that what's her face first came to, that when she first invited Irene to their first little party, first little get together, they made sure they focused on a lot of the seemingly trans vestite people in the crowd. Men that was dressed as women. I noticed them right off the bat. She was not very affectionate with her husband. She didn't want to touch him. She didn't want to kiss him. They were lacking in the sex department there. But she was like ripe every time she got around Claire. And she was trying to make sure that her husband wasn't attracted to Claire. And he was like, you know, I really like dark-skinned women. Who? It ain't your wife, but you're talking about Zelina the maid? Because Irene wasn't nowhere near dark-skinned, baby. I'm in the middle of the spectrum and she ain't nowhere near me. She light, bright, and damn near white. You know what I'm saying? That's what Irene is. And you saying that you like darker-skinned women? Make it make sense. Brian, you don't make no sense at all. They had a conversation. She had a conversation with Hugh. Hugh was a white author that she was cool with. First of all, Irene was a bougie black. Okay, she lived in the brownstone. I might have said this already. She lived in Brownstone. Her husband was a doctor. They had a car. She was able to drive. Her kids went to private school. She hung around with rich white folks or affluent white folks. Had all these little charity functions. She was that type of bougie black. Why was you passing? I didn't understand what you were getting from the past. And I didn't understand it at all, girl. I didn't understand. Make me understand. So that's why I'm saying this all became about her sexuality. There was even one point that she even grabbed Claire's hand. Like, girl, I would do you tonight, right? And they held hands and they exchanged a lustful look. And then her husband came back up and she dropped her hand real quick. Okay. But there were so many hints about Claire being gay throughout this whole one. Like I say, it really made me believe that that's the passing that they wanted us to like really pull out of this. Because they really didn't focus much on the passing of the race. We didn't see Claire with her white husband but one other time through the whole movie, and that was at the end. The only thing we got was her saying how much she hated him and she wished he would go away and she wished he would never come back around. And that's because she was spending so much time with Irene, and I think her and Irene was bumping uglies. I really do. I think they was bumping uglies. I mean, she got real comfortable. Claire came around. She started hanging around the son. She started hanging around the maid. She started hanging around her husband. You know, she started hanging around so much with her husband that Irene then started to become uncomfortable. Like, she was in a competition for Claire's attention with her husband, Brian. And then one moment, she even pushed them out the door together. Like, y'all might as well go ahead and be together. Just go without me. Go ahead on. You know what I'm saying? It was, I thought this was going to be more of a historical tale about these ladies' lives and their direct experience with passing as a white person. When Claire came around, Irene's friends, nobody was like concerned about her being a white person. Nobody questioned whether she was white or black. Irene was the one that outed out that she wasn't white. Okay, she told the white dude Hugh. Hugh was petty. I think he was gay. They had this whole conversation. I took notes, y'all, and I'm not even talking about my notes. They had this whole conversation. Where did I write that at? That really pissed me off. And Hugh's wife was out there dancing with all the black men, getting busy, right? I'm saying. Now, Claire had already asked Irene, because she come to this party, and Irene didn't want her to come. No, I don't want you around. And I think they had to do with the fact that because Irene was the light-skinned beauty at this particular time, Claire come in here, she's still a shine. Everybody wants to be around Claire. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, which is why I said, because Hugh was fascinated with her at first. Until Irene told him, you know she black, right? I mean, she said it in those words. She was like, you know, everything what it seems. But this is also around the time when I picked up on the fact that Irene was into Claire. That's when I picked up on that time, right? And the conversation was something like, my wife out here dancing with all these black men. She, you know, be on the floor with them so much, or she come up here so often that she forget that she's Nordic. In other words, my wife like to hang around all these niggers so doggone much that she forget that she a white woman. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they was cuckolding later on. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of vibe I was getting from Hugh. He would watch his wife fuck a black man and then probably join in later and lick his bum or lick everything clean when he done. That's what I think he would have did. That's what I picked up from him. Anyway, he asked if Irene felt that the white people was being predatory by coming up there. You know, because they looking at us and watching us and, you know, like we in the fucking zoo and some shit like that, you know. And she was like, no, I think y'all more curious than predatory. Y'all just like interested in the things that's exotic. Fuck that. Fuck that. Predatory. Call it what it is, sus. Call it what it is. It's fetishizing over black people. That's exactly what they doing. That's exactly what they doing. They come here to haul on the fetishize, but we can't come to that shit. How dare we step into an establishment with them? Do I still got another motherfucker? I had a mosquito in here turn me up last night. That whole conversation pissed me off. And he made a comment about the dude Hazelton, about how he was so dark and everybody thought Hazelton was just fine. You know, the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. And Irene tell him that's bullshit. Ain't nobody, not none of us gonna think he fine. Like Black was ugly or something. Like his darker skin was ugly. Said nobody would assume he was fine. Not over here. I was like, really, girl? She was insulted that he even insinuated that Hazelton could be fine. Because of his darkness. Because that's what they are talking about. Hazelton's darkness. And why people were so attracted to him. Because he was dark. And she was like, no. Matter of fact, she said the word repugnant is how she felt about Hazelton and people that looked like him. She had some serious self-hate going on too. But at the same time, she felt that she was better. She was better than Claire because, you know, she was more connected to her community. She still did things for the Negro League. You know what I'm saying? She still lived in Harlem. But she didn't want to talk about race in her own family. This movie drained me, y'all. It drained me to no end. It took me 2 days to watch it. I had no interest in it. Because like I said, I didn't even want to see it about the passing. I really didn't. But it didn't really talk about that. It mainly deal with their love, their attraction for Claire. Irene was clearly attracted to and longing for and yearning for Claire. And she was happy with that. She was, you know, all into her. When her husband said that he didn't give a doggone about her, he wasn't into her. But then when her husband started showing her attention and affection, then she assumed that they were having an affair. We don't know for sure. It made it seem like it. You know, Claire was always around, but at some point, Claire wouldn't stick around for dinner no more. Every time her husband had to go off to work, they was always gone at the same time. So it made it seem like they was having an affair. They would have all these close encounter conversations and stuff. At first, they would like break apart when she walked in the room as if she was interrupting. And then after a while, they would just look at her like, oh, you still her. That's how they would do, right? When Claire left off to go to Europe with her husband, tensions between them got really, really tough. You know, he talking about how he wanted to get up out of that godforsaken city. I think they was talking to Hugh, and she mentioned that Ruth was not Ruth, that Claire was off in Europe and Switzerland, you know, like proud of Switzerland. And he's like, you acting like you know what Switzerland is about. You ain't never been there. You know, so it got on to a question that Hugh just started trying to dog Claire out, and then Brian, which is Irene's husband, started taking up for her. And, you know, Irene said, I'm like, really? You defending her? You defending her? Really? So of course in her mind they was fucking. They was getting together. Claire came back into town. Hugh had a party. Ruth didn't invite her. I keep calling her Ruth. Irene didn't invite her, but Brian did. He said he had talked to her. And at first she was like, you know, wait a minute, you talking to her? Yeah, he having a conversation with her. Well, one particular day, Claire was walking down the street. Not Claire. Irene was walking down the street, and she bumped into John, which was Claire's husband, the one who calls black people niggas, who hated niggas. Said that Claire hated niggas too, right? Now all of a sudden, Claire want to hang around niggas all the doggone time. She want to feel a little piece of what she used to be. You know what I'm saying? She want to talk to people and relate to people who are like her. You know, they the bougie blacks, like I said. But at least she got one friend, which would be Irene, that is going through the same thing she knew. And she experienced a little bit of what it means to be a white woman. You know, so she had somebody to talk to about that. But, you know, she bumps into her husband on the street. And he's like, Miss Redfield, how you doing, girl? What's up, nigga? Hey, right? And Irene was so scared. She held onto her friend Felice and looked up her. And it wasn't until she looked at Felice till the husband realized, wait a damn minute. He was a nigga. Wait a minute, my wife said she went to school with you. Is my wife a nigga too? Okay. Well, Claire went home. Not Claire. Irene went home and tried to call Claire on the phone to tell her, hey, I just ran into your husband. And she wasn't there. She instantly put that Claire and her husband were together because her husband wasn't home either. I don't know what was said on the other end of the phone. It said the lady wasn't there. Okay. Did she say where she was at? You know, I could reach her over at the Belmont Hotel or something like that, you know. Is that the Waldorf Astoria? Did she tell her that? I don't know, because we didn't get to hear the conversation. There was like so many pieces that they wanted us to fill in. And y'all noticed, I don't know if you noticed it all. I don't even know if y'all noticed the attraction. But once her husband started being attracted to her, she never no longer showed attraction towards Claire. Well, anyway, they were supposed to be going to a party. She went outside. She laid down for a minute, then went outside. I don't know if they were showing her having the tremors. I don't know what that was about. You saw the crack in the ceiling steady cracking, which means the foundation of the house, the relationship was cracking more. I don't even understand what the tremors was about. She was popping pills and shit like that. They're supposed to be going to this party with Claire. The party was Felice's, at Felice's house. Up on the 6th floor of a building with no elevator, right? So they're walking up these steps to get there, and they're going to have this party. Claire might as well not have been there. Because I'm not Claire. Irene must not have been there. Claire and Brian was laughing and giggling all the way up the steps into the party, and they left her behind. And she was slow dragging and everything. They didn't even take notice of the fact that her whole demeanor was shifted. Claire had asked, Irene had asked Claire, what would she do if her husband found out that she was not white? She said, I would do what I gotta do, you know, to keep my happiness, something like that. Earlier in the movie, she had said something about how she do bad things. She's a bad person, and she gonna do what she gotta do to get her happiness. And that's at the point where she started believing that Claire was sleeping with her husband. So they having this party, you know. Claire's up in Hastings' face, you know. Brian talking to her. Everybody's sitting around talking. Irene is feeling out of sorts. She's feeling disgusted. She's upset, you know. And there's a knock on the door. It's John. How the fuck did John find out where they were at? Now, he said he stopped by the Redfields' house. I don't know how he found their house either, but he stopped by the Redfields' house and found out that his wife was with them. But how did they know to go to Felice's house on the 6th floor of that building? I mean, Brian had made a statement. They was on the 6th floor of the building with no elevator because they didn't want the common people just walking by. And this man finds them on the 6th floor of this building, knocking and screaming and banging on the door. And people answer the door like, your wife in here, man? I guarantee you that your wife in here. Because they see Claire as a black woman. They don't see her as white. But he busts on in the doors. And Brian is like, well, I'm Redfield. What the heck is up? You know what I'm saying? And then he's telling him to get the fuck out of his face. You can't tell me what to do. You people can't tell me what to do. Rush over to his wife and say, you's a fucking liar. You's a dirty damn liar, right? And, you know, once Claire heard his voice, she walked over towards Irene as if to say, you told my husband. That's why you were asking me what would I do if he found out. That's the look she was giving her. She walked side of her. Now, Irene had opened up the window. It looked like she was about to jump at first. She was so stressed out and whatever. But she opened up the doggone window. And John rushed into her. Now, Felice is the one that stepped up like, hey, dog, you the only white man in here. You better calm the fuck down. You know, that's what she's saying. All the brothers standing around like, Mister, boss man, you can't come in here. Your wife ain't here, mister. That's how they, whatever. But Felice came in like, hey, dog, you don't want to do this. You don't want no parts of this. You're the only white man up in this building, right? Anywho, he decided to rush at Claire anyhow. Irene stuck her arm out. Next thing we know, Claire is 6 flights down on the ground in the snow, dead as a doorknob. Irene pushed that lady. The way she landed like this. She didn't land like she jumped. She got shoved off that thing. And John looking like, you don't kill my goddamn wife. That's the way he was looking. Now, of course, they called the police, and the police like, that white man didn't kill this woman. They all telling the police that he did it. And then Irene finally come downstairs, and she tells the police, no, I'm quite sure she fell, sir. It was just an accident. She just fell off that balcony and died. I think at the moment Brian realized his wife was crazy. So he telling her, I love you, because I don't need you to kill me next. If y'all watch this, y'all tell me exactly what exactly did we learn about passing from this movie. And was I the only one that picked up on all the homosexual references that she was into Claire? They even spoke on it in regards to the son, Ted. You know, she didn't want Ted to hang around the older guys because he was learning about sex, the older kids, because he was learning about sex. And Brian felt that sex was a joke. That let me know that's how they know that was having problems in their marriage. It's on an intimate level. Every time he tried to kiss his wife, she would never kiss him. She would pull away from him. You know, he tried to get him some little leg in the car, and she would know, no, stop that. You know, sex was a joke to him, especially a joke with her to him. You know, but he was making she was making the son Ted a little bit too soft. He was a sissy boy. You know what I'm saying? That's what he was saying about him. I think he even referred to his son as a lady when they was talking about the man that had got lynched and how she was getting upset that he was telling the kids about it. And then Brian told his younger son Junior, you know what, we can't talk about race relations in this house because the ladies will get upset. The ladies in this family. There's only one lady in that family, and that's the wife. But he was referring to his son too. So it was a whole lot of references about homosexuality. And this is probably why she felt she couldn't come out. This is why she had to pass as a straight woman. Because she was clearly unhappy in that relationship. Clearly unhappy. And she said that Brian was only happy when Claire was around. That's how you were too, initially. Until, like I said, he piqued interest in her. At first, when you just had an interest in her, you want to Claire around all the time. Okay? Y'all, I'm become a member so that way y'all can help me pick other movies for me to watch. I didn't like this. I didn't like this movie at all. I didn't like the concept of it. Yeah, they could have kept it for me. Time, I just can't get back. That's passing, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all thought about it. A lot of y'all already told me y'all opinions and y'all views in the comment section of the community tab. And I'm looking at all these people say they don't like this damn movie, and they ones that picked me to watch. They want to pitch for me to watch this, and that's what I'm watching. Shit. See y'all in the next video. I got to do a couple more videos later on tonight. Y'all have a good one. Peace out.